As we climb down to get started, we notice a teenage boy and girl sunbathing on the far side of the cove. Julie squints. "Tracy," she says under her breath, and then turns to me. "I think that's my sister. It looks like her hat and swimsuit. Come on, let's get a little closer." We work our way along the waterline to the other edge of the cove. When we are near, the girl who might be Tracy sits up on her beach blanket and looks right at my new friend. "Julie?" the girl calls. I follow Julie over. Next to their beach blanket lie 2 tennis rackets and a cooler, along with a portable radio that is blasting some vaguely familiar disco song. Julie eyes the boy sunbathing next to Tracy, and then politely introduces me to her sister. "And that's Mike," she says, gesturing towards Tracy's friend. She gives her sister a quizzical look. "Mom said you were going to be at the library after tennis practice. Aren't you supposed to be working on a community service project with your friend?" Tracy rolls her eyes. "Get real. No one could spend a beautiful day like today inside a dingy old library." When Julie puts her hands on her hips and looks to her sister for an explanation, Tracy's expression softens. "Come on, Julie. Promise you won't tell. It'd really help me out if you didn't say anything to Mom." I can see Julie struggle. She is obviously bothered that Tracy wants her to cover for her lie. Finally, Julie reaches in her pocket, pulls out a plastic bag, and hands it to Tracy. "Then at least help us with the beach cleanup, since you're just lying here doing nothing." "Doing nothing? I'm working on my tan." Tracy peers at Julie over her sunglasses and points down the beach. "Look, there are plenty of people helping already. You don't need us." Mike takes the last sip from a bottle of orange crush and tosses it into Julie's garbage bag. "There, I just helped." "Oh, brother," Julie mumbles, letting out a sigh. She tugs on my sleeve and says, "Never mind. Forget them. Let's get back to work." Julie and I continue picking up the litter strewn throughout the cove. Every once in a while, Julie glances over at her sister, but whatever is bothering her just seems to drive her to work harder. Soon our bags of trash are filled to bulging. Julie and I tie them up and start lugging them across the sand. Julie stops at a spot near Tracy and Mike and, thud, heaves the bag onto the sand dramatically to get her sister's attention. "Gross! Get that garbage away from us," Tracy says, backing up on her blanket like a sand crab. "The whole beach is full of garbage," I remind her. "There's no getting away from it." I point to a plastic foam cup sticking out of the sand next to the beach blanket. Tracy looks at Mike. "Ugh, they're just going to keep bothering us. Let's go," she says. They get up and shake the sand off their blanket. The wind whips it back in our faces, stinging our eyes. Julie snaps, "Hey, keep your sand to yourselves." "Don't worry," Tracy says. "We're out of here." Mike gives Tracy a knowing nudge, then mumbles something and smirks. Tracy covers a giggle with her hand. "Oh yeah," she says, holding out her hand to us. "Tell you what, since we're leaving, why don't we turn in those bags for you?" Julie and I glance sideways at each other, surprised and a little confused. Okay, that would be great," Julie says. "Just take them over to the green trucks at the parking lot." "But what's so funny?" "Oh, nothing. Private joke," Tracy tells her. "Remember, Julie, we were at the library all day, remember? Right?" Before Julie can answer, Tracy and Mike sling their belongings over their shoulders and head off toward the parking lot, dragging our garbage bags behind them through the sand. "I wonder what those 2 are up to," Julie says. "Well, at least now we have more time to keep cleaning," I tell her, trying to look on the bright side. Julie nods half-heartedly and shakes open 2 more big garbage bags. As we continue along the cove to finish clearing the litter, I can tell that Julie's interaction with Tracy is still bothering her. I'm at a loss about what to do. I suggested we come to the beach so that Julie could feel like she was fixing at least one thing that was wrong in her life, and it seemed like we were getting somewhere. I have a feeling she wants to face the problem with her sister head-on, just as we are doing by cleaning up the beach, and confront Tracy about her feelings. But I know I'm not very good at confrontation, or at talking about family problems. Just the idea of seeing Julie do it makes me squirm. To keep quiet and continue the cleanup, turn to page 53. I decide that the best way to help Julie feel better is to bring her attention back to the beach cleanup. The litter is a problem I know we can help solve, while Julie's problems with Tracy seem much bigger and deeper than anything I can help fix. How about we make this fun and turn the cleanup into a treasure hunt? I suggest to Julie. Let's see who can find the coolest treasure. Julie perks up at my suggestion, and her energy seems renewed as we sift through the garbage we find along the edge of the cove. In between picking up pop-tops, cigarette butts, and fishing bobbins, we find some smooth pebbles, a crab claw, and a few pieces of polished beach glass. Julie picks up a periwinkle, and I find a piece of rainbow-colored shimmery abalone shell that I tuck into my pocket for safekeeping. After about a half hour, as we're fishing out the last pieces of debris to put into our nearly full bags, I hear a squeak. Or at least I think I do. "Did you hear that?" I asked Julie. "Hear what?" Silence. She turns back to her garbage bag and ties it closed. Dropping my trash bag, I clamber up onto a rock. From up here, I can see the entire beach. The water sparkles in the sun like the blue-green color of my mood ring. I close my eyes and listen hard, but all I hear is the lapping of the waves. It must have been a distant seagull, I decide. "You coming?" Julie says, holding her bag up to signal that she's ready to go turn it in. "Yeah," I tell her, and return to my garbage bag. Then I hear the noise again. I put my finger to my lips, signaling for Julie to stop and listen. We wait, pricking up our ears. Ee! Ee! It sounds like a cry or a whimper. We look around in every direction. "I think it's coming from over there," Julie says, pointing. "From those rocks at the edge of the water." We run in that direction, and sure enough, the crying sound gets louder. Julie starts to work her way across the rocks, but I hesitate. The wind has picked up, and waves are crashing closer to the shore. "What if the tide comes in and we can't get back?" I ask. "But what if somebody's in trouble? We have to go see if we can help." I look to the nearest beach patrol house and see a woman sitting inside, scanning the beach with a pair of binoculars. I turn to follow Julie over the barnacled rocks. "Be careful," I call, scraping my knees as I go. We search around frantically, studying the crevices between the rocks. "Ee! Ee!" The sound is right under my nose. Squatting down, I can see a jumble of kelp wedged into the space between two rocks. I use a stick to pull loose some of the kelp. Then I catch a glimpse of wet fur between the pulpy leaves. Turn to page 70. "Julie," I call, waving her over. "I found something." She scrambles over the rocks to join me. "Do you see that?" I ask, pointing to the fur. We edge a little closer and use our gloved hands to pull away at the kelp. Soon we've exposed this creature's head. "It's a sea otter," Julie cries. "It's so small. I thought they were bigger." "It must be a baby," I say as a wave comes crashing in. The little creature squeals in the surf and blinks its dark eyes at us, as if pleading for help. "The tide's coming in," Julie says urgently. "We have to do something, fast." "We can't leave him," I say as another wave crashes on the rocks. "It's going to take two of us to untangle all the kelp. Otherwise he might drown." Then I remember the beach patrol. I jump up and wave both of my hands in the air. The woman in the patrol house perks up and starts running over. "We found a baby sea otter, and he's in trouble," I called to her. "Please go call animal rescue. Quickly." She waves and runs back to the patrol house. Meanwhile, Julie and I set to work trying to free the little otter from the tangle of kelp. It isn't long before we realize that the situation is worse than we thought. As I pull some strands of kelp away from the otter's midsection, I notice a clear band of plastic wrapped around its neck and another plastic band twisted around its legs. "What is that?" I ask, and Julie shakes her head. "It's too strong for us to break. It will have to be cut with a knife." We continue clearing away the kelp and discover that the otter is tangled in plastic rings that once carried a 6-pack of soda cans. "What is taking the ranger so long to get here?" "He could suffocate if he starts to struggle," Julie says. "We need to cut the stuff away before..." before it's too late. Turn to page 116. But the plastic is so tough. We don't have anything to cut it with, do we, I ask? Julie rummages through her pockets and pulls out a gum wrapper, a happy face sticker, and a Kennedy $50, just like the one I found in the window seat. That's it. I dig into my pocket and feel the peace sign earring, the 1966 quarter, the flower power necklace turned from glad rags, and finally, yes, the nail clipper that I found among the other treasures in the window seat. I twist it open and use it to gently cut away the band around the otter's neck. Then I hand the clipper over to Julie, and she snips the band at his feet. He's free, but he seems weak, just lying there in the water, as if he's exhausted by his struggle. Julie grabs a piece of driftwood and uses it to steady him as the waves continue to roll in. The otter clings to it and doesn't try to escape into the open water. Finally, after what seems like an eternity, 2 women come running over, each wearing a shirt that says Animal Rescue, and name tags that say Amy and Paula. Julie and I introduce ourselves and explain what happened as Amy pulls on rubber gloves and lifts the baby otter out of the water. Paula shakes her head when we show her the plastic rings. I wish people wouldn't litter like this. Don't they realize that it can have disastrous effects on wildlife? Amy checks the otter for other injuries. He doesn't have any cuts, and he feels well fed, but he's probably chilled. She turns to Julie and me. Looks like he got separated from his mother somehow. It's a good thing you found him when you did. I'm not sure how much longer he would have lasted once the tide came in. Paula stands by with a towel. Amy sits the baby otter in Paula's arms, and she wraps him up carefully. That was smart of you to send someone to get help. You did a real kindness for this little pup, she says. We gaze down at the fuzzy creature in Paula's arms. He blinks his dark eyes at us and twitches his licorice jelly bean nose. He is so cute. As he warms up, he starts making tiny whistles and yelps. He's so squeaky, I say with a big smile. Julie giggles. That should be his name. Let's call him Squeaky. We have to remember that Squeaky is still a wild animal, Amy reminds us. We can't let him get too used to humans, since he has to be returned to his natural habitat as soon as possible. Julie and I understand. As much as we'd like more time with the pup, we know that the sooner he can get back to the ocean, the better. We follow Paula and Amy, heading down to a clear spot on the beach where Squeaky can have plenty of space to test his strength in the water. When we get to the surf's edge, Paula sits the towel down gently, and Amy unwraps it to let Squeaky re-enter the water at will. When the next wave rolls in, Squeaky seems hesitant to dive in. He sniffs the air and then lets out a squeal. Is he scared? Julie asks. Maybe a little, Paula replies, but that squeal was a call to his mother. If she responds, he'll feel much more confident about going back in the water to reach her. Eee! Squeaky screeches again. We all wait impatiently for his mother's answer. Then we hear it, an urgent bark coming from the water a distance away. Paula pulls out her binoculars and trains them on the water, scanning the waves for an adult sea otter. Nothing happens at first. Then Squeaky stretches his neck out and lets out another cry. Paula says, "There she is! I see a head bobbing in the waves." Julia and I gasp. Paula hands us the binoculars, and we each take turns peering through to see the otter. She calls to her pup, floating on her back as the waves send her up and down upon the surface of the water. Suddenly, Squeaky wiggles and squirms off the towel. Using his back legs and tail, he scoots toward the water, arching his back and then pushing forward toward the surf. Squeaks, squawks, and screeches fill the air as mother and baby sea otter call back and forth. As he dives into the water, another wave comes in, pushing him back onto the sand. Julie winces. Will he be strong enough to break through the waves to get to his mama? She asks. I hope so, Amy says. If not, we're here to help him. As the wave pulls back, Squeaky tries again. He swims out past the first break of waves, and then the next. Yay, Squeaky! Julie and I cheer, jumping up and down. Julie and I watch in amazement as the otter pup glides sleekly through the water, riding the wave out to his mother. We take turns with Paula's binoculars, watching as Squeaky greets and nuzzles his mother. Before we know it, Mother Sea Otter is floating on her back, with Squeaky nestled against her chest, nose to nose. We wave goodbye, missing him already. Silent and content, we pick up our garbage bags and make our way back to the parking lot. As we walk across the beach, we can see what a difference we and the other volunteers have made. It looks like an entirely different beach from the one we arrived at a few hours ago. Grinning at Julie, I slip off my shoes and she does the same. Seagulls soar overhead, squawking to one another before they alight along the shore. I think of how many beach and sea animals we have helped by cleaning up the litter. When I get home, I'm going to take Zach to Ocean Beach. I'll tell him how important it is to keep it clean, so that animals can have a safe place to live, and people can continue to enjoy the beach 50 years in the future. The end. To read this story another way and see how different choices lead to a different ending, turn back to page 19.